Hello and welcome to another Kerbal Space Program episode of HexFleet Colonization Systems. I am your pilot Noel, also known as Hexacosacoron, and we will be continuing our efforts to colonize the Kerbal system. In this episode, we will be launching a refueling tank to Minmus. This tank will be used to refuel the Minmus surface-to-orbit shuttle. The tank will be big enough to refuel the shuttle 12 times, so while this tank will be one of the bigger, more expensive launches, it will eliminate the need for me to launch 12 surface-to-orbit shuttles from Minmus. The cost of the fuel tank at launch is 467,000 Kerbal funds, compared with the launch of 12 shuttles costing a total of 1.5 million funds. Throttles to full. 3, 2, 1. Lift off. Okay, so this thing is barely in orbit now. Barely had enough fuel in that second stage to get us into orbit. This thing is not going to have nearly the margin of error as the other rockets had. Coming up on a descending node now, so we're going to have to point ourselves north. Unfortunately, this rocket seems to be way too heavy for the single reaction wheel that I have to turn it, so I'm having to use the RCS for my rotation. In the last few launches, you may have noticed that when I rotated a craft, it didn't necessarily have the RCS thrusters firing because they have reaction wheels, and those use angular momentum to say that more clearly, to spin a spacecraft. And the only thing I would use the RCS for is translation, to move sideways or up, down, forward, back. Getting close to the descending node now, and I'm going to have to start burning. Now, because this vehicle is extremely massive, and I'm essentially using the same engine for this vehicle as I did the other for my transfer, my acceleration is really, really poor, so it's taking me a lot longer to make these plane change burns. And it'll take me a lot longer to make the transfer burn as well. because that's going so slowly, I'm going to have to finish my burn on the other side at the ascending node. But if I'm at the ascending node, I now have to turn my ship around and burn south instead of north. And I did not put any lights on this thing, so it's going to be a little boring to watch this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I have run out of power. I have no control over this thing now. So I have to wait until I'm on the daytime side to get this thing under control again. And there we go. The sun is shining and now we have power again. What I need to do is get rid of this nose cone, because we don't need that anymore. Now, I could probably make the burn where I am. I want to make it soon, and I have to be able to make it on the daytime side, or with sunlight. And that is pretty close, so I'm going to go ahead with that. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side, so I'm going to have to move my trajectory to the right side instead of the left where it is. That way when I enter orbit I'll be going in the right direction. Okay, so we have a circular orbit, and we're going to go ahead to the descending node and align the orbital planes. Okay, now let's plan out our rendezvous orbit.
I want to be able to burn and rendezvous in daylight. And that could work. Go for that one over there. Separation of 100 meters looks good to me. Now, because this thing has such an unbalanced, center of mass. Center of mass is basically in here, but I have these thrusters all over the place, so it's rather difficult for me to maneuver it properly. It wants to rotate when I translate it, and it wants to translate when I rotate. So I'm going to have to move some fuel around to get this properly balanced. And make sure both of these are oriented the same way. And there we go. Get that fuel back onto the main tank, and then we'll get rid of this useless tug with almost no battery power and almost no monopropellant left. Well, it should probably have enough to deorbit itself. So let's decouple that.
You have reached the end of Episode 2 of HexFleet Colonization Systems. I hope you found this informative or at least entertaining. In the next episode, we will be launching the Minmus surface-to-orbit shuttle with the first Kerbal crew to the Minmus orbital depot, and perform a remote test landing of the Minmus shuttle. Until then, this is your pilot Noel bidding you to live long and prosper. Kapla!